So welcome everyone. Welcome to the LinkedIn Power Lab webinar session. Today we talk about the topic networking from offline to online and back. And when I say we, that means Victor David sitting next for me. And my name is Gunnar, for those who don't know me yet. Today is 9th of March. And this webinar will be recorded so that then later we have the chance also to watch it then again. The first two webinars I had earlier this week, 2 and 4 weeks back, they've been recorded as well. And I have a new website particular for this, which is called linkedinpowerlab.com. All of the recordings and slides will be there. So welcome. Good to have Victor also here. So then we are Gunnar and Victor. We are both somehow, I would say, strategic networkers, that we enjoy going to meetings, to enjoy meeting new people, and also not just attend, but pay attention to that we have a kind of outcome from that. And both of us are also Meetup organizers. So then I have a meetup from about social selling. You see me here presenting actually to the New South Wales Business Chamber. And Victor has his own meetup group called Networking Experience.
Correct. Yeah.
Good to have you here. So that's a picture. I think I've taken this when I attended
I think you did. Yeah, it was a great night there at WeWork.
Yeah, that was
almost a year ago now.
That was your starting one, and I had mine a little bit later. So
yes.
Then let us show you how we would like to fill the next 30 minutes. And I call it Power Lab because we try to put a lot of content in there. We try not to speak too fast, so that at the end you can take also something out of this one, particularly when you then look into the slides or the recording. So it's 3 topics, as the title says. So it's about offline, attending prepared networking events with pleasure. That's what I say is the underlining part of Victor's presentation. Yeah. I take then the online part, connect to build relationships instead of just collecting numbers. Because networking is not just to brag with have 7,000 people in my network, because you can't remember all of them. And then I like to look in the combined picture, and I say here, nurture offline connections online and turn conversations offline again, because social selling is not about selling online, not at all. It's rather to nurture, to do this journey, which started in the offline world, all started in the online world, but to take it then offline. So that's basically is, and I start here with a sentence that I learned at the Institute of Managers and Leaders. Your network is your network. So then people are not hired just for the skills or the attitude or the capabilities, but also for the network that they bring with them. So that's an important part. So therefore, we are starting now with the offline part, and as offline networking is a little bit different than online networking. Correct. It's Victor presenting and not me, and therefore also the format of the slides is Victor's style and not Gunnar's style. So let me just
a bit of a combination
move
here.
that over.
Yeah, thank you, Gunnar. Thank you so much.
Can
everyone see it here, or is it like outside of the box? How it all works? Okay.
Can we see it? Anyone?
Yes.
Super. Very good.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you. I think you have the whole box here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So welcome everyone. As Gunnar said, my name is Victor David, and I help people with their networking skills. Now, I often get a lot of questions about networking, and a lot of people who are otherwise perfectly social beings sometimes have a little bit of trouble of working yourself around the networking. So for tonight, this is only a short webinar. I'd like to address 3 main questions that people often ask. Number 3 is how to have a great chat with other people on this networking floor. Because what often happens, people are just kind of going in circles, saying the same thing, but not really getting to that real connection that you're kind of hoping for, and also a business purpose for the networking evening where you attended. So this is a bit funny, but it often is probably resonating with you, feeling a little bit discombobulated on a networking floor. The second question that a lot of people have is, how do I benefit without being pushy or being salesy? Because of course you do have this target to meet, and you do have a bit of a pressure to justify yourself going to a networking event, but you also don't want to sell to other people on the floor. And what often happens is that people feel a little bit like this, like they just keep on giving cards and cards and cards, and people feel a little bit awkward taking them and not really sure how to go about that. So really the sharks on networking floor, that's a bit uncomfortable. But the number 1 question that I often get is around this. How do I feel comfortable when I am networking? Because a lot of people feel like this. They feel a little bit uncomfortable. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. And this is, again, for otherwise perfectly sociable people. Like a lot of us feel like this. And even myself, I have a lot of stories where I really had no clue what to do on the networking floor. And everything I'm here to tell you is just from experience and trying and testing and going again, and sometimes doing things a little bit wrong and observing what others are doing. And from there, I learned a few things. Now, I'd like to share with you a very important point is that opening is always appreciated. And this is very different from other social settings where there are a lot of strangers. Like if you're in a bus or if you're in a food court or another public place where a lot of strangers, people don't always want to talk to you. But just knowing that the other person also feels uncomfortable is already a great relief and makes you feel more comfortable to actually start a conversation with a stranger. You're already in the winning move by just opening, and people appreciate it because they feel a little bit insecure just like yourself sometimes. Now, once you started talking to the stranger, you probably have sometimes a question. It is almost like this: what do you do? The central question that you always get. And people struggle with that, and that makes a lot of sense. What people often say is something like this, like I work for marketing, I have a consultancy, a banker, something like that. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. But the problem you get with it is that people already have an idea of what a marketeer does or what a consultant does. And it doesn't really bring the real you out of you. It probably more paints a picture of what people already know about these roles. Because if someone says, oh, I'm a banker, you probably will get a bit of an image like people feel you're some person like that. It's a little bit too much money, it's a little bit too smooth, and it's maybe not the real you that is inside of you. But to make an impression that really makes you memorable and make people want to connect with you, you probably want to craft your elevator pitch in a way that is authentic to yourself, but also authentic to what you actually do and how you help people and the greater world. So to get to there, hack this autofill in where people feel like, oh, banker is this or marketer is that. You want to kind of go around that. So say something original that is still true to your actual profession. And how do you do that? You should focus on the payoff that you're actually doing, not the product that you're selling or the service that you're doing. What I mean with payoff.
One moment.
Sorry,
Danny, could you please unmute? Danny, done that.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. We had background noise, so then Victor continue.
Okay, no worries. I'm glad that people are enthusiastic. That is all good. Now, what did I want to say with pitch to pay for another product? Like we all have services that we can provide or products that we want to sell. And of course, yes, you're on a networking floor to expand that business network. And maybe in the back of your mind, you do have something to sell. However, people already know that you can provide a product. What you really want to pitch is the payoff, is the service, and is the experience that you provided that makes you unique. Because after all, people buy from people and people connect with people. People don't really connect with products. So you want to focus on what is the payoff of the thing that you do. And a payoff, I see it as a solution to problems people have, and the experience on how you can deliver that. And the experience, that is you. The experience is how you deliver it. And that makes you unique and so different from anyone else on a networking floor or any other service provider. And when I say solution, I mean, there are only 3 reasons why people actually buy. It makes their life easier, it makes them more money, or it saves them money or time. Like ultimately, that is the reason why people buy. So if you want to craft your elevator pitch, you probably want to think, okay, what is it actually that I do? Of course, yes, you may be a consultant or you may be a marketer or a banker or whatever your profession may be, but you want to focus on one of those 3 points, maybe 2 out of the 3. And think of that as the end result that you provide to your clients and craft that into your elevator pitch. Then, of course, it becomes from, oh, I do this to, oh, I solve this or I deliver this or this is the outcome that I provide. And that's something that people can relate with much more than just the title, how impressive your title may be. And on top of that, of course, the experience is how you deliver it. That makes you unique. And that is also why people connect. So as my number 1 tip on a networking floor, do not really talk so much about your title or the products or services that you may have on the shelf. focus more on the solutions and the outcomes that you do in your work without pitching it directly to them. Because it may not necessarily be the person who's standing in front of you who's ultimately the one who's going to buy from you. There may be a whole network behind you. And if you go pitching directly to the person in front of you, people perceive you as this. People feel like, oh, you're just after a sale. So just go away with that. Don't even mention any sales on a networking floor. Just only talk about what you like about your work and the outcomes that you provide, and just keep it at that. Keep it light, keep it high level. If people are interested, they will definitely raise their hand. You are remembered for who you show that you are on the networking floor, not necessarily who you say you are. If you say, oh, I'm really helping people and have this great solution to marketing problems people may have, and at the same time, you're just trying to push for a sale, people will remember you as a salesman, and they probably won't really connect. But if you just keep it as, oh, this is what I provide, and keep it as it is, people perceive you as being helpful and useful in their network, and they will be much more open to allow you into their network. Because after all, what you need to think about is that behind the person that is standing in front of you on a networking floor, there's a whole network behind that person of a lot of other people. And the person you're eventually selling to is not the person in front of you. It may be a whole plethora of other people or connections that they may have. But if you, in the initial stages, are already kind of salesy, pushy, you will never get to the network and people won't open up. This is only a very short session, and Gunnar asked me to not go over time, but this is probably one of the key takeaways I try to teach people. And of course, there's a lot to it. Like, you do need to craft your elevator pitch in a nice way that is unique to you and also true to your services and products. And also you want to experience and exercise how this works for you on a networking floor and really get experience so that you feel comfortable next time you go to an event. So in summary, lift what you do into why you do it. People connect with the why. People don't really connect with the product or service that you may have, but people connect with why did you choose this. That's what you really want to focus on. And once you have that connection, then they will allow you into your network. And then you can take it from there. You can go on lunches or coffee chats, or sometimes even connections stay dormant for weeks or months on end. But it is important that people have a positive feeling about you, because in the end, people will remember how you made them feel more so than the products that you have. Now, if you'd like to learn more about this, sorry, there's the elevator pitch. I planted that one in, which actually originated off the idea that one day you will run into an elevator with Richard Branson. Now, your chances of running into an elevator with Richard Branson in Sydney is pretty low, but it's just a metaphor that you never know who you may meet on a networking floor. If you would like to learn more, there's of course a lot more topics that we can cover, but Gunnar asked me not to keep it too long. Like, these are a few things that I try to focus on in the Meetup group that I run. They're all very important, and of course these are things to think about and do it well. And if you'd like to learn more, I'm actually hosting a one-day course. It is next week Friday, 20th of March. I will be in a professional boardroom here at Hilton in Sydney. We'll have lunch included at the Glass restaurant, very nice. And especially for all the people here in the Meetup group today, the webinar today, I offered a very special price of $100 off with the code Gunnar. I run this day together with Tana Jackman. She's a professional coach and also a host at BX Networking. It will be a small group setting, so there's a lot of individual attention. And then we will really go very deeply into all the topics that I just named on the very top level.
Oh, it'd be good. And you have really all the knowledge about networking. That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's take questions also a bit later. Let's move into when it goes from offline into the online world.
Of course.
Because many things are the same. So I got called, I got reached out today by one lady who immediately pitched to me her services.
Oh, did she?
Upon connections. It is like, if you go to a networking event, immediately you say, I sell this.
Yes.
Please buy.
Yeah.
And that makes no sense. So if you look into the online world, it's some kind of the same area. And there's this debate or discussion. If you would like to reach out to someone, are you doing this personal or are you don't doing this? So then on Facebook, you can't. On Instagram, you can't. You only, on Twitter, you can't. You only press on the button. So that's it. But on LinkedIn, you can. Mm-hmm. And for me, networking online is a question of building this trust that either has been pre-built when you met offline, or you build this in the first place. But in order to do so, the best way is to really connect in a proper way. So I have some couple of hundreds of invites sitting there, and only 4% of people are writing a personal LinkedIn invite. And that's a pity, 4%.
Only 4%.
It's so easy to send out.
Yeah.
You can say, hey, we met at Victor's networking event, or I refer to a piece of content. I see something that someone has written. For example, I would see that there's something up in Manly on the markets on Saturday, and I know Bell is there, and I can refer to someone else. Say, hey, I know you go to Manly here. That's a good way, and I have someone who can help. Let's connect together. I can refer to common contacts, somebody who also knows with Stephen Dugin, for example, who really referred me to a very good business relationship. There's always a good reason to say we have a hook, something is in common.
Yeah.
But that means first need to read the other person's profile. Like on the networking event, you also introduce, you see who's there to make this happen. You can do this. Sharing values, ideas for industries, lots of kind of reason that you can put in there. And not just to say, hey, we are a company who does this, it costs only $350. I got this as well.
I know.
And we have so many of them. You could, of course, say, hey, Gunnar, we have 50 common connects, so let's connect. Not that strong. I'm looking to expand my network of like-minded professionals.
I've heard it a lot of times.
Yes, like-minded is already good sense. Okay, I was just checking out your company, we should connect. But they never checked it out.
No.
I looked at your profile and I'm impressed. But then I look into the profile views and they never looked at it. Not a fan of that one.
That sounds very generic, isn't it?
Or simply kind of a generic sentence from the old standard. Press on the button, how you know, that's it. You have only, or how to say, you have never a second chance to make a first impression. And that's valid for online as well. I'm a strong fan of connecting with a personal invite, with only exception, if I'm at a networking event, I connect on the spot. We had the discussion, but I need to follow up later and say reason who I'm connected. That's how, by the way, I got contacted, or that I met then Tanya again, because it was exactly this. Wow. Find nearby function, connected with 30 people on the spot, no clue who they are. So then I looked into who are those people that I can really look into. She's doing this, put a person invite there, and then that worked. The only thing is, people would like to do this, and I nearly suggested this on the desktop, but you can see on this slide on the left bottom, you can customize this invitation, more likely to accept, include a personal note, but it is not there on the mobile, which is a big pity. So then, but there are options as well. On Android, you would simply click this arrow. On Apple, you have the 3 buttons. Then you can personalize the invite to make this happen, because it's so important. What most people don't teach is another side effect. If I meet someone again after a while, then I realize the name rings a bell, but what was the reason? And then I can see in between, there was once an invite, either from them to me, or maybe they invited me without that, and I would answer properly, including a personalized text. And that way we would see, that was the hook. Yes, I met her at that type of occasion. That helps immediately to ring the bell and go on it. Some really do this well. So I have done one here with your permission. It would be nice to connect on LinkedIn. Be friendly and kind. That's a good one. Here, even one lady, I had the pleasure of hearing you speaking on Dick Lamb's panel last Tuesday, and I would like to connect. Lovely.
Yeah, because it's good. Precise, right? That's why people like
it. It's personalized.
It's personal,
really like, that was that lady, she's been sitting over there, she asked that question, and I can do a follow-up, and I can realize, hey, Patricia, in your network, you have people who do this or that. I require some help. Can you introduce me? It's a chance for networking, and that very often is taken. That's a big pity. So the other way around, let's say somebody's trying to invite us, like the 700 people today with me. It's quite a lot, but there's some kind of rules. Let's take a couple of them. So for me, if somebody would like to invite me, I first view their profile. And I'm a big fan of going to work by commuting, so there's a bit of time in the day always. Then I ask, hey, why do you want to connect? What's the reason? When they don't say it, might be a reason. And here's an example. There was time ago when I had 2,276, nice number. There was one lady who connected with me, Renee Bergeron, high title, Senior Vice President. Should I simply connect? I thought I connect. And then I send a reason. Hey, thanks for connecting and talking to you at last week's Ingram Cloud Summit event in Sydney. Keep on with great work. Happy to be part of ecosystem down under. If one day I'm posting something which is relevant for Ingram Micro, and she sees me posting this, or she's answering on this, she thinks, who the hell was that? Who is Gunnar from Australia?
Yeah.
She looks into my profile, and then you can see that these first sentences are still there, and they stay there, and that's my point. So the first person, the first connection which is there, doesn't matter if it's the inviter or the invitee, at least that remains there, and that is an important topic.
Yeah.
Important as well to provide what I always call value or perceived value. Value can be great, but Victor, if you talk about networking to someone who doesn't want to go there and for them it means nothing and there's no rule on this, it's your value but not perceived value in their perception. And no pitching. I hate the pitching. Correct. Also don't accept everybody because simply we need to protect our networks. As more they grow. So there are some people who would like to intrude into networks and just steal contacts. We don't want that. So we protect our network. Apparently, logically, it's closed circles. Even if it's in broader circles, but still close enough. And I always like those. People who have 5,000 contacts, but only 20 skills, maximum endorsements for something like Microsoft Word, which sounds like breathing air. So then if you watch a profile, it should be proper.
Yeah.
I get many requests of people who would like to get a job in Australia as a software programmer. I'm not in the business to help them. So what can I do? It's not my thing. In case of doubt, simply reject. There's another button. You can even say, I don't know this person. And over time, they get rejected. Be aware of fake profiles. There are plenty out there, I can tell. So, but when you do this, you do face-to-face networking, and then you do also an online networking and engage with people.
Yeah.
The beauty on LinkedIn, you don't sell there necessarily, but the power is in the follow-up, and the power is also in the direct messaging. LinkedIn doesn't have a good inbox. When you write to 50 people at once, you don't see what has been there last week.
Yes, it is not Gmail.
Need to really put out some notes on paper or on a system or whatever. But it makes sense to combine these two worlds together. So that's what I like. So my favorite formula, offline, online, offline. I simply say, let's imagine I go to an event. I got an invite from AIN Connect, that's an Australian reseller network, from a couple of sponsors. Cool. I met a gentleman at the table. We didn't have time to talk, but at least business card exchange, as we know, never leading to anything. But put out the invite. He wrote me and asked when it's time for coffee. It took a while. It didn't happen. You know how that works sometimes. No chance. But one day, he started to engage on my post and I engaged on his post. That's cool. And then even further one day, it became even relevant. And I said, but hey, why now? What is the trigger for you now? And the funny thing is, he has been in the radio beforehand. So I have been in the radio beforehand at a podcast in Hornsby, a local radio, and he's been listening to this while driving to his office. That was perfect. Big surprise. I said, but how do you even know about that? Yeah. Well, there was a post on LinkedIn. I heard, and it's you. I thought, now it's time to listen. So then finally he became my partner. And even another one. I went to an event in Brisbane last year in March, and there was one gentleman. Look at this line on the right part of the slide. Colin P., second grade, not yet connected, met at the event. He said, about the post I've had, thanks Gunnar, let's have a call today. If possible, need to connect a client with your Queensland sales rep.
There we go.
That's a lead inside of a comment. That's gold. I love that. I posted, I connected, I tagged, and I got into his attention. Recently, that Colin posted a lovely article on LinkedIn. I shared it further, and he got about maybe 20 times outreach than normally.
Wow.
Yeah, but point is, on networking, 80% without visible purpose. That's for me a critical one. And only for the rest, it's about our own agenda. We go out and say, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Not, hey, I'm here, I need that.
Yeah.
Many people do that wrong, on LinkedIn in particular. So, but what can we do in order to learn this more? I put together, after the last maybe 2-3 years of working intensively on LinkedIn, of getting business from there, getting conversations from there, getting friends from there. It always is a question of engagement. Yes. LinkedIn is for me something to connect, not to collect. So there is a range of options for us to learn more. I created actually an online course about that. I called it social selling, which is the topic and the term of turning conversations into the offline world.
Yeah.
You meet online or offline first, but then turn it there. 7 modules, 24 lessons. So really recorded all over the end of year break. And for those who are attending the webinar now or getting the recording, there's a coupon code to get some 15% off. It's quite a good thing. And this online course is for self-paced, and there are even versions with a bit more mentoring where I can help. The other thing, Victor, that's what you said, is your full training event to do these offline part in particular well on the networking. That's this one. There's also some kind of advantage to take it off. And then the last one, possibilities, is that are our meetup groups.
Yes.
And the funny thing here, the picture here, that actually it's Victor on the left side asking a question, because as a proper networker, he of course is asking, and was particularly this social selling piece that I had at the networking event, and a couple of questions that he answered, that I answered on that event. That was a good one. So we both have our networking or meetup events. So networking experience in social selling Sydney. From the slides, you can simply click on that and join. And we do very often events, either webinars or face-to-face events just in the evening, or you have already your daily one, which is a good one as well. So there's a couple of options to learn more, because this webinar is rather short. And if you go on the socialsellingonlinecourse.com website, there also will be one of these lessons that I've been doing and delivering in a free version to look into this, because people would like to see firsthand what's there on a course before engaging and buying into this one.
Totally.
That's an important thing. So that is what we prepared for this half an hour today.
Correct.
Are there any questions from the audience so far? I think many of you have been silent, but at the end, I know that you can also chat in the chat window.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hello both. Thank you very much for a great webinar. Really informative from both angles. Really love it. Victor, my question, I've got 2 questions, one for Victor, one for Gunnar, if you don't mind. So Victor, obviously with your event coming up next Friday on 20th of March, you know, networking, it's very broad in terms of there's so many different people at different stages of their ability to be able to network effectively. So where do you think your event, you know, who is the best person to come to an event like yours?
Yeah, it's actually for everyday professionals. Of course, sales managers or business development managers or marketeers or business owners, that's probably what you first comes to mind. But when you think about it, like almost every professional at some stage in their career or multiple times a year will need to go to a networking event. And a lot of people feel a little bit uncomfortable. Like it's probably not the #1 thing people love doing on their free night. So it's really for people who would really like to improve on those kind of nights, like feel more comfortable, like take the pain out of networking and feel comfortable doing it. It's a bit of confidence building in a way. Now, this is not some kind of rah-rah weird stuff. Like we're really digging into how do you start this conversation? How do you feel comfortable? How do you start a conversation? How do you enter new groups of people that you haven't known? But also, how do you then enter conversation? You're not stuck with someone that you don't want to talk to all night. And then, of course, we'll also dig further into like this elevator pitch that is touched on a little bit tonight, but we'll go much deeper into the value that you provide to the world through your work, to you as a professional, because eventually the value and your personality is what people really connect with so much more than the product that you sell or the company that you represent. So we have both the social part and also your personal presence and pitching part to that. And of course, then how do you follow up and how do you use your network for your own goals? And it's not necessarily sales; it could be a lot of different things that people have.
Indeed. And Tanya, you had another question to me as well?
Yes, I did. And I'm looking at the time, so you might not be able to answer fully. But you touched upon something at the end there when you're talking about protecting your network by having the option to look at the people who are wanting to connect with you and make a choice about whether you do connect with them. And they've given some steps on how we can actually qualify them better. But to what degree do you think that it's worth investing time to put a strategy in place to really get clarity on what you want your network to look like? Because I hear everyone does it in different ways. Some people say, well, anyone outside of Australia, I'll probably reject, but that doesn't really, for me, help me in terms of being able to understand how I can put my own sort of strategy together. How would you do that?
Yeah, and Tanya, you're right. Everyone has a different type of approach. Also, Gopi just asked a question in the chat about that. So some people would like to grow the network first because, as Victor said, behind the person connected can be others of interest. I'm aware of that. But I make the test like maybe a recruiter today is looking into CVs because how many seconds they do it for 7 seconds?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
Nothing.
So then if I don't see the point easily between 7 and 10 seconds, and it's rather on the negative side in the sense of I cannot help them, they cannot help me, we might not have a common connection or network, so then I simply reject. If they are rather bad in the sense of too much pitching straight away or some kind of other stupid intruders, then I also click on the second button coming after rejection, which is LinkedIn asks something like, I don't know this person. I click on this as well, which over time disables them to connect with others. So for me, the point is simply a question of respect. I don't go on the street and immediately give everyone my business card. Of course not. No. And that's the same kind of game here. So I put it as personalized as possible. And then when I get some which are not, because most people don't do, I'm aware of that, I make a check and then I engage. And I have, to be honest, some templated little lines already prepared in my Evernote that I can simply copy and paste inside. That makes it at least quite efficient. And then we can see what comes out of this one.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Thank you.
Gopi, you also asked if it's, how does it reflect on your brand? Can it be negative or is it okay? If you reject people, it can be negative, but it's your personal brand. So I know one gentleman who said he never ever accepts a request from a person who he's not met in person.
Huh.
Okay, he knows he's missing out, but it's his trust level and his personal brand, and he states that. So that's fine, as long as he's congruent and it works. Some others say, I'm open to everyone. And I must always thank, because that's my second grade connection who often coming in. And here's one trick. Imagine I would like to get connected to a person because of whatever business reason.
Yeah.
Business coach or someone, and say, or even apply for a job and I find out, hey, that's a hiring manager. And then I realize, oh, we have a common connection, Victor.
Yes.
And I say, hey, Victor, you know this guy called Andrew. Can you refer me to introduce me?
Yes.
Very powerful. And you would say, hang on, that person I actually don't know really. We are connected, but I don't know why. I don't remember why. And that exactly is the thing. An introduction can be so powerful. Like Stephen here in the call, who introduced me to two other gentlemen called Chris and Dave. And we are doing business together. It's so powerful, but only because people knew from each other. If we are just anonymous first grade connections, then the sense of it is totally gone. So therefore, I'm a bit more strict, and I reject out of the 700, maybe 500.
Okay.
At least
That's a good number.
portion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Gopi, for this. Also, thanks, Andrew. When I just mentioned Andrew, it was not yourself. That of course not. Just the name. Adrian, thanks for your comments as well as also for Stephen. So I like the engagement also in the chat window. That's very good because the time is getting up soon, already 7 after 8. So then thanks all of you for joining so far. If anything else is happening, I will send out an email tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. with the recording and also with the slides. So with the link to the website, linkedinpowerlab.com, where it will be stored. And also where we announce the next one in 2 weeks' time, how to build your tribe. Because when we talk about the network, the question is, who is there? And that will be exactly the 6 categories of networking people inside. That will be in 2 weeks from now. So thank you everyone for joining, appreciate, and looking forward to talking to you then at the next time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.